I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. And I am Kevin, sad Cowboys fan, and I'm joined by the man that bet against Tom Brady, Austin.
Yeah, you're really burying me with this stuff.
But you won.
I did. Yeah. I did bet against the Buccaneers, which Brady was a player on, but there's bigger worries now. I have no more people left. However, if everything goes right, and right now I think it looks good for both of yours to be wrong. So,
I'm still you're believing in the Niners.
The Eagles do poorly against good rushing teams usually whenever they can get the ball. Whenever they can start getting something together, and also the Niners have one of the best defenses, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay, yeah, because I have a couple of thoughts. I am worried about my Chiefs pick, but let's just talk about the Chiefs. Mahomes goes down with an injury. He's my honorable mention. Also, if you weren't with us last week, we have five impressive performances, any position, best coach, worst coach, any critical decisions you disagree with. We'll answer them throughout the video, so just keep track of that. So my honorable mention is Patrick Mahomes because he was able to play with a high ankle sprain. And then also my number one impressive performance was Travis Kelce because he had
my number one was Travis as well.
Yeah,
I didn't have an honorable mention for anyone besides this one guy, but it wasn't Mahomes.
Yeah, like Mahomes was still good, but he wasn't like Mahomes.
One of the reasons why I don't think he could have been mine is the effect that Chad Henne had when he came in. It didn't look like the offense was totally in the gutter. So I don't feel like Patrick Mahomes playing through injury necessarily meant they won. I feel like they could have won that game just like they did against the Browns with Chad Henne if he had to finish the game.
Yeah. The main reason I think they won was Travis Kelce just being incredible.
Yeah, Travis Kelce is unguardable, especially when you don't have someone to mark him.
Yeah, so Jaguars, it's looking good for them. You have Doug Peterson, and they put up a fight, but I think there just wasn't much. It was just the Chiefs having a better roster and more experience.
Yeah, I wasn't really all that happy with some of this passing selection that Trevor Lawrence made throughout the game. I feel like he could have made some different passes, but I was really happy to see Travis Etienne start playing well. They should have ran the ball more, in my opinion. Even when you're down, if you're not down by 2 scores, which they weren't for most of the game, I feel like they could have ran the ball more. But the home field advantage the Chiefs have is definitely noticeable.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember with Trevor Lawrence. The one play that stuck out to me was the interception. I'm not sure quite what the plan was, but another big thing to me with the Jaguars is, so we've seen glimpses of Trevor Lawrence, and I would upgrade the receiving core. I think they're good on the run game, upgrade the line a little bit, but they don't really have to upgrade the receiving core because they have Calvin Ridley coming in next year.
Yeah, and he'll definitely have time to acclimate to a new offense, new scheme, new quarterback, but he should be really good for them. And I was really happy for them when they got that acquisition, and I really questioned the Falcons moving forward, but this team has a bright future. Now, obviously they still almost missed the playoff to a team that they almost went under 500 if it wasn't for a kind of a fluky Joshua Dobbs fumble. And we'll have to see if the Titans get Brady, because that would change the entire landscape of the division. But right now, they're my favorites going into next year to win the division.
Yeah, I would agree. And we'll just have to see what they do in the offseason, because they had an aggressive offseason last year. I wonder if they follow that up. But the next game I want to talk about is Giants-Eagles. I kind of cheated again on this impressive performances. My number 3 was just Eagles. Like, I couldn't, like, Goddard was great. Defense, it just seemed like the Eagles came out ready to play, and that's why I put Nick Sirianni as my best coach. I almost put Andy Reid, but just with dealing with Mahomes. But I think Nick Sirianni really prepared his team, and they came out on fire.
So I have 2 impressive performances. This is where we get to my honorable mention, and it's Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat had 1.5 sacks, 3 combined tackles, 2 QB hits, and a forced fumble. He was dominant, and I could have gone with Hassan Reddick too, but you can put both of them as honorable mentions. I don't care. And then my number 3 is Kenneth Gainwell. He ran all over the Giants. 12 rushes, 112 yards, a touchdown, 1 reception for 9 yards, 121 total rushes on only 13 touches. He was getting he got a lot of yards.
Is he the one with touchdowns, or is that Boston Scott? Or
Boston Scott, if you talk about the stat that like he has 11 touchdowns against 8 games against the Giants, that's Boston Scott. But Gainwell, yeah, he played amazing, and I still find it very funny that him 5'9" is the cousin of 6'4" massive Fletcher Cox.
Whoa, I did not know that. That is crazy.
Yeah, they're cousins on the same team. I found that hilarious.
Yeah, and for the Giants, I don't think you can be upset. Like, this season, I think exceeded expectations, and I just think the difference between the Eagles and the Giants is just roster construction.
I think it's also experience. We forget that this team played against a very good Bucs team last year in the playoffs, and while Sirianni, I don't think he wasn't my best coach. He still out-coached the ball for what he could do. Now, I still think DeBall's a better coach, and I'd still, if I was signing one of them today, take DeBall. But you got to remember, this is basically what the Eagles did last year with the Giants. It's supposed the Giants won a game. So this Giants season wildly successful. The Eagles had a terrible year and then made the playoffs, lost to the Bucs, and then this year they're a 1 seed. I don't see any reason why the Giants can't do a similar thing here after having a full offseason to sign guys, another draft to pick up guys, and then another year of experience for Daniel Jones.
That is a good point, and a great comparison. I would argue quarterback, but going into this year, I wasn't sure about Hurts. So if Jones takes another leap or plays like he did against the Vikings, then yeah, there could definitely be a chance that they do this similar to the Eagles.
The NFC East, I know we talk about, oh, it's so bad, oh, it's so good, oh, it's so bad, oh, it's so good. It is going to be good for the next 4 years at least, because the Giants and Eagles are very young teams. When you look at AJ Brown, obviously the quarterbacks, Saquon's not that old. They still have a young receiving core, young O-line. They drafted so many guys. I know like Jason Kelsey's going to retire eventually. Like, he may not retire after this year, but he will retire before the 4-year mark ends. But still, they have enough. Dallas Goedert's not that old. They have enough players on defense. But at least for these two teams, I think the NFC East, the top half, will at least be pretty good for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. And the Eagles have a lot of draft capital. I believe they have a top 15 pick this year because of the Saints. Or is it even top 10?
It's not top 10. I know for a fact it's not top 10. Okay. You can check, though.
Yeah, I'm checking because I'm pretty sure it's top 15. Oh, it's right at 10.
It's 10?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought the Saints were higher than that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many 7 and 10 teams. They were just tied. So like the 7 and 10 Jets got the 13th pick, but the 7 and 10 Falcons got the 8th pick.
Oh my gosh, there are 6.
Yeah, they're 6. So I just if the Bucks had lost another game and the Panthers lost another game before that, if the Bucks had lost to the Panthers, the Saints still had a chance to get in the playoffs the last week of the year. So I guess I just assumed that they had a better record than they actually did.
Yeah, it's weird because it goes Atlanta, Carolina, Saints, Tennessee, Cleveland, but it goes to Houston and then the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, and then Green Bay's at 15.
Yeah. We'll have a whole conversation about the draft because I'm really excited for a lot of teams. But
Yeah, and there have been a lot of moves, coaches wise, which I'm very interested in as well. But yeah, so I think we can move on to the Bills and Bengals game. I was surprised with just how I almost want to call it lopsided,
it was
even
lopsided.
though
It's the score was only 17 points, but it was lopsided. There's no way
yeah.
around it.
And here's my question to you. I know people have been talking about Burrow and Allen. We'll get to that, but Jamar Chase has never not been in the AFC Championship game since he got drafted.
That's true. I don't think of it like that because he's only been to 2, but that is a fact. What you said was not incorrect.
And it's weird because we were always on Panay Sewell, like draft Panay Sewell, and they go draft Jamar Chase, and the offense works, even though the line is still not good.
It works because Burrow is Brady. And what I mean by Burrow is Brady is he gets off the ball in 2 seconds. And he's able to read the defense in enough time to where he doesn't throw 100 picks. So because he's reading the defense so fast and making such quick throws and has great wide receivers and a good tight end in Hayden Hurst, it makes the offense very fluid. And Joe Burrow was my number 2 player of the week. I was really impressed in the snow. I know he didn't have the most yards, but a 101 rating, 2 touchdowns. That touchdown pass was amazing. 31 rushing yards. I was impressed. The 242 doesn't look great, but I wasn't really concerned about yardage. It was more about game management and his ability to control the offense, and I was just impressed really with him.
Yeah, he is also my number 2 player of the week. So you and I agree on 1 and 2, and for the same reasons you said, and maybe it's on the Bills' part. He was only sacked once, and I believe it was like -4 yards.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of that is injuries that have happened to the Bills line and otherwise because they don't even have safety help, so they can't even run blitzes and stuff like that. Von Miller being hurt is exceptionally painful, but I think part of it's also because my best coach Zach Taylor. At some point, we have to actually respect him as a really good coach.
Oh,
Because
I
I
have.
don't think no one
Yeah,
really
I
talks
have.
to him at that level as a really good coach. And no, I don't care who you are, you can't escape terrible coaching. So the fact that people are like, oh, it's just Burrow and Chase. Well, yes, Burrow and Chase are a major part of this, but Zach Taylor deserves some credit.
Yes, and I remember I thought he was going to be fired like our first year of the podcast. I was like, he's not good. Then he goes to an AFC Championship game. And then he goes again. And it's worked out. Like he is, you can't deny, he got the quarterback and they added the wide receiver, which I think Jamar Chase being the number 1 wide receiver is like if you blitz, I think you have great advantages all around in that wide receiving core. So someone's going to get open.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And,
Zach Taylor's been incredible.
Yeah, and I was very close to put Sean McDermott as my worst coach. I did not put him as my worst coach. And the reason why he'd be there is just expectation and home field advantage. And the fact that he's the defensive head coach and let Burrow do everything that he did. But I feel like there was a worse head coach, and we're both going to agree on this. I feel like you haven't mentioned him yet, so we all kind of got the idea. But the Bengals are a scary team, and it's scary because Burrow has that mentality that should worry teams. It's the Brady mentality. he's the closest thing we've seen to Brady, except for the fact that Brady's still in the league. So
Yeah,
it's the Brady mentality. It's the I'm just better than you, and I'm going to beat you. Why? Because I'm better than you. And why am I better than you? Because I am. It's not. You can't. It's all mental, and he's very intelligent. And when you pair that with a great wide receiver, it's really dangerous. And I think part of Zach Taylor's genius with how this team is constructed is picking Jamar Chase. We disagreed. We said Panay, but that relationship you can have with a coach. Hey, do you want Jamar? Are you guys gonna be the best in the league? And I bet that question was asked. And I bet Burrow said yes, we will be the best team in the AFC if you give me Jamar Chase. And he said, okay, I trust you. And that's part of what you need as a good head coach is a great relationship with your players. And I think Zach Taylor is one of the best in the league at that.
yeah, and to the Jamar Chase, like it was a great pick. It worked out, and I also think Joe Burrow. Like we had talked about it. Like I was like, well, it depends on what Josh Allen does. Like I could change my ranking, which I now will change my ranking. And just a preview is Joe Burrow is probably going to be 2 for me for my QB.
Oh, I have to think. Is he top 2? It's too early. It's too early. I haven't thought about it enough. But I will say this, and this takes no amount of effort or pain for me. Josh Allen will be below Joe Burrow. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah, for me too. For me as well.
Guaranteed. I guarantee it.
And it's like you were saying, he has. I almost want to call it the it factor. Like it's just it goes beyond his skill. Joe Burrow. You're talking mental. Like he just brings a presence, which I think Brady does, and I think Mahomes sort of has it too.
It's not the ambiance isn't as much with Mahomes, even though it's there. Mahomes
Yeah,
is a little bit too quirky and too easygoing sometimes. I feel like that's the Andy Reid symptoms, not the fact that he doesn't have the it factor. It's just Andy Reid's so chill, easygoing. I'm gonna go have a cheeseburger after we win the Super Bowl at Disneyland or whatever. But it's just more evident with Burrow. Even though Burrow is easygoing, I think Brady's easygoing when you're just talking to him when they're winning. It's when they get down, you can see them over there on the bench making decisions. Patrick Mahomes is very, very, very good. Very good. This doesn't even need a conversation. However, I will say that having a great offensive head coach is helpful.
yes, but Zach Taylor is also an offensive coach.
That's true, but the way we talked about Andy Reid before Patrick Mahomes was very good already. He'd already led an Eagles team to a Super Bowl. He had already led the Chiefs one year to a 9-0 record. Obviously, they lost in the playoffs with Alex Smith, but they were still a good team. Before before Burrow, Zach Taylor, a lot of people saying he should be fired. So that's what I'm kind of saying. It's different of how they were brought up. One guy is already the guy, a top 5 coach in the league. The other guy was desperate. He was coaching for his job. And I feel like that desperation is in Burrow. At times you can see that whether it's him himself after being kicked off of Ohio State, or not kicked off, but he just wasn't started there, so he went to LSU. The desperation to, I will make it in this league, and compared with Zach Taylor's, I'm a good head coach and I'm going to prove it, it makes it interesting mix.
Yes, I do agree. And I do think Mahomes was like he was in the right circumstance with Andy Reid, and now like Andy Reid knows like how to bring him up, and now he's just fantastic. But Burrow is more of a finished product.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to choose between Burrow and Mahomes because again, they're so different mentally. And I honestly, if your team gets either, you should win a championship. Is all I'm gonna say. Like career wise, but what were you saying?
Yeah, and to me, like Joe Burrow said, the window is always open for as long as I'm playing. And I do think him and
that's
Mahomes,
100% true. Yeah, you go.
And when Brady, I think is smarter now. But just with them two, And like when you have great QBs, you really don't need to have surrounding pieces, which I think Josh Allen is now. You have he's entering the range where he might need a surrounding piece, where Mahomes and Burrow I think can do well without all the pieces. They don't need to have the perfect situation.
I will say this. I will give some credit where it's due. Burrow does it with less than Mahomes because Mahomes has a top 3 tight end all time on his team and has had him forever, like for his
Yes.
career. He's had all pro offensive linemen. I understand the Super Bowl against the Bucks he didn't, but throughout the majority of his career he has not had a bad line. And then you go to the fact that he had Tyreek Hill. It's helpful, especially when you have such a great offensive mind in Andy Reid. But there is only 3 players or 3 quarterbacks that I would say it's open until their career ends, and that's Brady, Burrow, and Mahomes. I don't care where Brady. If Brady plays next season, which I highly think he does, 80% chance, I say. I don't care where he goes. I'm still saying that he has a chance because he's done too much for me to doubt him. And I think we're at that point with Mahomes now, to where we're even though he's only won one, he's at the point to where he's a contender no matter what. Even if he were to leave the Chiefs. And I think we'll really see how good Mahomes is. The test of who's better all time will really be answered once that contract kicks in with Mahomes. Once the $50 million kicks in, and we're like, how are they going to pay these players? That's when we're going to see how good he is. But we're kind of staying on this too long, so we can go to the next.
Well, yeah, and big news is the Panthers have hired Frank Reich as their head coach.
Oh man!
But yeah, you made excellent points. But that was like the thing I wanted to mention. That I understand why Frank Reich. I'm surprised he got a head coaching gig right after he was fired. But we can talk about it with head coaching or we discuss that. But I wanted to mention that any quick moments, and then we'll move on to the Cowboys game.
Well, as it says on ESPN here, he did play for Carolina as a QB.
Oh,
but,
I missed that.
I don't know how I feel with Frank Reich. He did not do enough with the Colts to earn a second spot. I would have. I don't think I would have made that choice. That's just me. But
yeah, I would have wanted to had him as an OC and then like build it up and see what he does. But we'll see.
I just want to throw this in there really quick. My favorite coaching candidate for this next year is D'Amico Ryans.
Oh, I would agree. He's fantastic. Yeah, which is a great transition to the Niners. I think the story is Dak Prescott and the 2 interceptions.
Yes, Purdy did not play well. He didn't play bad. He just didn't play well. He did enough, and sometimes that's okay. You don't need to throw for. He threw for 214, 0 picks, 0 interceptions. Not a particularly great game, but again, like I said, not bad. And when you have a great defense, all you need to do is survive. Just postpone. Wait until you have to make a play, and they did that.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, like, I can't blame the defense. Micah Parsons is my 5th best performance. Just he was incredible, and the defense played incredibly well. And they only had 1 touchdown. They held the Niners offense to just enough. And to me, you needed another big game from, like, you didn't even need a big game. You just need him not to turn over the ball, which Brock Purdy did not turn over the ball. And Dak turned over the ball, and I think that's a 6-point swing. And that's where I think Dak is now definitely in the Kirk Cousins zone. And quarterbacks like that, where it depends on the situation, how, like, they can't do it. Like we were talking with Mahomes, Brady, and Burrow. They can do without some stuff. Burrow can do without a line. I think Dak needs a line. I think Dak needs better wide receivers. And Kirk Cousins had a good year, and I also think Jared Goff had a good year because they switched offensive coordinators. Goff had a better chance. So that's just my thinking of Dak now, and my worst coach is Mike McCarthy. In any critical decisions I disagreed with was the 4th and 5 not going for it instead punting.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know a lot of people talk about that last play. I don't mind it at all. Look, something absolutely insane has to happen for you to even get a touchdown at that point. So you trying a play that's going to confuse the defense out of existence, or potentially confuse the defense out of existence, it's worth it. And I like everyone's like, oh, fire Kellen Moore after that play. If that's the reason you fire a head coach, or I mean, an offensive coordinator, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because again, you got to try to make something happen, and that was something, and it didn't work, and it looked bad, but I don't find much wrong with it.
Yeah, I was kind of like, what? Like, I was like, game's already over, and I was like, you would have to have something crazy. And the thing is, when I think about the Miami Miracle, Adam Gase drew that up, and like, he wasn't a great OC or a great head coach. It was just luck. So I think you need to be pretty lucky. And to me, it was when they decided to punt. I'm like, okay, the offense started rolling for the Niners. George Kittle made a great catch, and Diggs missed on an interception, and he missed hitting Kittle. So it's just, to me, it was tough. But I do come out of this game a little worried for the Niners because the Dallas Cowboys offense, I think, was playing incredibly well, and they were pushing the ball against the great Niners defense. And I think the Eagles have a better offense. They have better offensive line, better QB, better wide receiving core. So I think the Eagles can definitely, if the Cowboys were able to push against that defense, then I'm confident the Eagles will be able to.
The
Go
thing
far
is,
again.
also, the 49ers have a great O-line, and I feel like they are going to run the ball on I would say, and this, I may be wrong, but I just feel like the Cowboys defense, you can't play much better than that. The 49ers scored one touchdown, sure, but I was really impressed. And moving forward, the Niners and Eagles will learn from this past week, for better or worse. And I think it'll be a great game. And my worst coach is Mike McCarthy. I don't have to go into that. My fourth most impressive performance, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, 10 receptions, 117 yards. You take him off the field, they get blown out, because they would have punted it 100 times.
Yeah, and he has made the jump to wide receiver 1. It's just, to me, the outside pieces or the supporting.
Yeah, I understand that. 117 of Dak's 206 was CD. I found that crazy. And then my fifth best player this week, Fred Warner. Fred Warner had the huge pick. He was patrolling on defense. I was 9 combined tackles, 7 solo. He was a big part of the reason why Zeke and that entire run game for the Cowboys could not get going at all. And they are the best rushing defense in the league, so I'm not necessarily surprised, but he was a big part of this team's success.
Yes, Fred Warner was my 4. He, like you said, he made some great tackles, and he was also guarding CeeDee Lamb on the pass that Dak missed on.
Yep. What was your 5 again?
My 5 was Micah, and just that play with I think it was McGlinchey where Parsons like threw him off. And I'm just like, that's incredible. And yeah, you can't ask much more of that defense. They played incredibly well. To me, it's the offense and the turnovers.
Yeah, I a big part of playoff football, and this is not necessarily always true, because I mean, we saw the Jaguars game, which I still think that game just infuriates me. But normally you need to not turn over the ball to win games. You can't lose a turnover differential by 5 and win a game like the Jaguars did. And I think that's part of the reason why the Jaguars ended up losing, is that's kind of a fluky deal. But I don't know how much Jack has built for the playoffs, and I'm worried for his future, because my dad was talking to me, and this is true. The drive before his last drive, so not the drive where he had the terrible quote unquote play call at the end of the game, but the drive before that, when his first pass was almost picked by Fred Warner.
Yeah.
My dad told me before that drive, okay, this is their last chance, and this will be. And he said that it's definitively, and I totally agree. And thinking about it, it's really smart to say this will be Dak's legacy. If Dak does not come through right here, if they do not score a touchdown, it will be his legacy that he could not do it against Brock Purdy of all players. And that first pass, he looked scared. The second pass could have been converted. Oh no, the second one was was the second one a sack? No, the third one was a sack.
No,
the second
it was
play,
like almost a sack, and then
he got away and he threw it far and almost caught it. Yeah, it was almost a catch.
That was to Gallup, and
and in the third down play, he got sacked. That drive that's Cowboys football since Emmett left.
Yeah, it really is, and I do agree with your dad. Like that is his legacy. And I saw the stat, Dak is tied with Romo with like divisional round losses, 0 wins in the divisional round.
Worst divisional round record.
Yeah, like they're both 0-3, and it's just the way it is, and like that's just the way it is. You're getting paid, and he played incredible with the Bucs. Like he was incredible, and he just didn't follow it up. It's too big. Like he threw 2 picks, and the pick that bugs me the most is there was also that one with the Michael Gallup. That one was annoying, but it was the pick at the end of the drive, end of the second half. No, first half, in going end of the second quarter, where he was just forcing it in with CeeDee Lamb, where CeeDee Lamb was double covered by Fred Warner and Jimmy Ward. And that led to 3 points and a shift to me, because even if you get 3 points on that drive, I feel very comfortable. Like, okay, we can win this. But he threw a pick there, and it just wasn't.
I mean, Romo doesn't get enough praise because I feel like part of the reason was incompetent coaching more than it was Romo. I don't feel like, again, we go back to 2014 when they lost to the Packers. How much of that was on Romo? I mean, I don't really know. He played amazing that game. I go back to it. He 15 of 19, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It was really on the defense who allowed Rodgers to have 316 with 3 touchdowns and Eddie Lacy to have 101 yards. 2 players had over 100 receiving yards that game for the Packers. Randall Cobb had 116, Devontae Adams had 117. It was DeMarco Murray with 123. That was the reason why they stayed in it, along with Romo's efficiency.
Yeah, and I think outside of like 2007, in between that 2014, there was not a really good roster around Romo. There wasn't a good O-line. That's when they finally built the O-line was 2014, when they drafted Zach Martin. Because they had gotten Smith, I think, in 2011. Then they got Frederick, I want to say almost like 2013. Yeah, because 2012 was Mo Claiborne. And then 2014 was Zach. And then that's when the line got really good. And then Romo just got injuries. And that's what hurt him. So, yeah, I think there is a discussion who would you rather have in their prime, Romo or Dak. I'm not really sure.
I'm taking Romo almost every time.
Yeah, I'd probably take Romo. Because, like, even with the defense, if you had a good defense, yeah. And I'm not sure I would hire Mike McCarthy, but it's going to be a tough offseason because what do you do? There are a lot of key free agents, and what do you do in the draft? I would almost go, like, it's not a deep wide receiver draft, so I might go edge again, like, because DeMarcus Lawrence was incredible, but he's getting older. And if I can pair an edge with Micah or a linebacker to help in the run game with LVE, Like I would go defensive side of the ball just to build up that defense even more, and then just hope that the offense, like, just tell Dak, don't turn over the ball. Just don't turn over the ball. Let the defense win the game.
Yeah, I think a big reason why there's this kind of like, oh, Romo's such a choker is what happened in that Seattle game.
Oh yeah, the punt or the field goal.
But again, he's a quarterback. I'm not about to hold him accountable for that, even though yes, it is his fault. It's hard for me to just call him a not clutch quarterback for not doing something that a not necessarily a quarterback is supposed to be able to do. But
Yeah, I would almost blame him more for 2007 when they lost to the Giants.
yeah, that's the one where a lot of people talk about it. That
Because I don't remember that game, but I don't think I was even. Yeah, I was too young. But I saw a clip from like Bob Stern, and it was where he just missed on a pass to Terrell Owens,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, that's a rough pass. But yeah, so we'll see what the Cowboys do. But now we'll go to the AFC Championship. Well, NFC Championship game. I'm gonna stay with the Eagles. I feel confident, and I also think that Eagles defense can. I think they can really put the pressure on Brock Purdy, and I believe in their secondary more.
I think coaching really was going to come down to, and the experience that Kyle Shanahan has. I feel like he'll be able to scheme up some great plays, and I worry for Brock Purdy, but I'm not. He's still getting great coaching, and I feel like he'll make the right play unless he's under an inordinate amount of pressure and the game is close, or he has to make a huge play. But I don't think it'll ever get to that point. I feel like they're going to ride Debo, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and make sure that he stays comfortable in the pocket. But I really think it's going to come down to, can the Eagles dismantle this defense? Can they? If the Eagles put up 30, I'll even say if the Eagles score 28, they win this game.
Oh yeah.
If the game is under 20, like it was for this Cowboys game, like both teams under 20, 49ers win.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And yeah, I believe in Jalen. But I hope this is close. But now into the AFC. It's going to be a tale of quarterbacks. And I am nervous about this one because just how mobile is Mahomes going to be with that high ankle sprain?
I'm not as worried about the ankle sprain as some other people, and that's because it's Mahomes, and I don't think he's going to allow it to affect him as much as maybe it could. But it's an understanding concern, and I feel like it's really going to come down to, can the Chiefs offense stop the Bengals enough? This is another game where it's going to be a shootout. I feel like this one's going to go to overtime. Just be a crazy.
And we have the new overtime rules.
Yes, where both teams will touch the ball, which is how it should always be, regular season or not. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I also think that defensive line for the Bengals is sneaky good because you got Hubbard, you got Hendrickson, and DJ Reader. And I remember, I think the format was for the Bengals defense was they only sent three. They only sent three guys, and then they just added an extra guy in coverage, which I think could even work more now because you really only have Kelsey. You're not like they don't have Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lot. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Mahomes to find the right window. And if their defensive line gets to Mahomes with only rushing through, I think that will be a key thing. And Mahomes is yet to beat Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and this really comes down to a legacy game for Mahomes because, well, he has a tied record now with Brady, but the games that he's lost mean a lot more. Losing an AFC Championship, losing a Super Bowl, those are going to be hard to come back from long. If we're talking GOAT status, or at least greatest QB of all time, because I feel like in the NFL we talk too much about QBs as it is. even though I'd say Brady's a GOAT no matter what position you're talking about. But if we're just talking greatest QB of all time, it matters that he lost those games. I don't care if he didn't have an O-line. I don't care what the story is. I don't care if it was his first year starting. It matters. And now we go to Burrow, another guy that's had a great start to his career and will definitely have contention for GOAT status, which a lot of guys in the league that are young always have a chance to become. But you can't lose this many times to Burrow, especially in the playoffs. He can't lose this game. I don't feel like he can because you lose twice in the AFC Championship, where I would argue that Mahomes has a better team around him. You get dicey. You get to and at home, which is kind of the problem with also the AFC Championship game in 2018. But Mahomes not having a great record against what could be all time great, and you could be like, oh well, Josh Allen. Well, I haven't seen Josh Allen actually win a game and actually
Right, that's true.
have an inordinate amount of help, but this will become a legacy game. I feel like this is the most important game of Mahomes' career to this point, even more than the Super Bowl, is winning this game. If he can win this game if he can win this game at home, it's very, very important for the future of not only him but the Chiefs.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And with the GOAT, I just kind of want to wait more. I just I want to see.
This is the stuff that matters. Like long term, 20 years down the line, we're going to be talking about this. He could beat Burrow at home twice, even though Burrow had less help. Worse line. This is young Burrow too. Like this isn't even older Burrow. So we get to the point where it actually starts to matter.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I also love Burrow. Like we got tricked with Allen and Mahomes. Now it's just Mahomes Burrow, which is like the reenactment of it's two different. They're very different quarterbacks, but it's the tale of when you always had Brady and Manning in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, Josh Allen's only made one AFC Championship game.
Yes, and that's when the Chiefs just blew him out. I'm pretty sure. They blew him out, and then
they played the Bucs.
They got blown out by the Bucs. Yeah. Yeah, those were just blowouts. And then the divisional round last game. And then the Bengals game was also good. So, I'm excited. This one's probably my favorite. I'm glad it's the final game. I'm not sure about the NFC, but the AFC, I think it's going to be incredible. And I'm looking forward to it.
Same here. I'm excited.
And that's all we got. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.